So, here we go.
He was filled with childish frustrations and complexes which the police authorities for James Thomas believed to
Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. It's currently 9:16 p.m. Night Movie Gang. Whatever time zone you are, you can imagine. My name is Elsie, and I'm here with my buddy Deep D.
Hello.
Hello. And for those of you just tuning in, if this is your first time listening, which this would be kind of a weird one to come in as like a first one necessarily. Like, we got other samurai. We talk about other more mainstream samurai movies in earlier episodes that Deep D was on. But if this is your first episode, this is a show where we kind of talk about usually horror, sci-fi, cult classic cinemas, like the less, like the lesser known kind of things. I'd call one of these movies a bit more lesser known. But I don't know. We always I've been hopping into the old samurai movies. I'll get on a kick, or like martial arts films or whatever, and they definitely fit under this umbrella. Today we're talking about specifically at least these two movies that we watched for this episode. Sanjuro, which is a 1962 Japanese. Deepti, can you pronounce that?
Pronounced Jidai Geki.
Jidai Geki film, directed by Akira Kurosawa.
I think you can also just say like period piece. I think that's what it literally translates to.
Got your period piece film, old samurai movie, and Kill, which is a 1968 Japanese comedy, samurai film, directed by Kiichi Okamoto. And yeah, it's kind of a lot of what I was looking up about Kill after I watched it was calling it like a parody, and I think it definitely is like a send up of a lot of the samurai movies that have come before, especially knowing that this director also directed Sword of Doom, which makes sense to me as far as like that movie being kind of like a breakdown of other samurai, like mythical samurai like movies. But I digress, and you can probably explain this better than I. So they're based on a book from the same author, or they're based on the exact same book?
So this was like a weird little rabbit hole I went down a couple years ago, because I think there's like one or two essays on like the Criterion website that specifically say like, oh, they're based on the same novel. So like, oh, Tetsuya Nakadai played the same character as Toshiro Mifune, something like that. Mm-hmm. And then like looking at the credits and like looking at the Wikipedia page, you can see they're like two different short stories by the same author. Mm-hmm. So I ended up like sending an email to like this guy they have on the Criterion website that's like, here, you can send all your miscellaneous questions to him. And I was like, hey, this is a weird discrepancy. Where's your guy's source? And he's like, yeah, we have a source, don't worry about it. So I chose to believe him about that.
Okay.
Didn't look into it further. Although like, to be fair, I feel like there's a couple of like narrative coincidences between both.
There is a lot of similarities. Like, you can definitely see they're cut from similar cloth.
They both have like a kidnapped uncle.
A kidnapped uncle. They both have like a small group of quote unquote good samurai who are being hunted down by Yakuza. They both have like a kind of rough and tough smart aleck samurai who's trying to help them through type deal. I mean, like, yeah, they are. Like, I've seen, like, there was a review I was watching on YouTube that pretty much just called Kill a parody of Sanjuro. Like, I don't know exactly how accurate that is, but
I mean, there's like, because I feel like especially the opening sequence where it's like, it's one of the samurai walking into this like comically like blown out like village with like dust flying everywhere, and it plays like almost like a caricature of the village from Yojimbo, which is like this busted up village with like a bunch of dust flying everywhere. Mm-hmm. And like, I guess we can get into it more once we get into Kill, but like a lot of the themes of it, I think, follow general patterns of like samurai movies of the period that are kind of sending up, samurai values and Bushido and all that sort of thing.
Even down to like the group of the good samurai in Kill are called the Seven.
That felt pretty on the nose.
I wonder what that's a reference to. But yeah, so before we break into the movies themselves, I think we should start with Sanjuro. I feel like I have more to say about Sanjuro. I know more. I'm more familiar with that and Yojimbo. But before we break into both of them, what's your history with these movies? I guess what's kind of like your relationship to samurai films, and specifically, I guess we're mostly going to be talking about Tetsuya Nakadai this episode, probably. But like, yeah, just with this genre, these actors, like, what's your maybe your first time seeing these movies? Like, tell me about it.
Yeah, much like Sanjuro, this episode will be a spiritual sequel to our Mifune versus Nakadai episode.
Indeed.
But yeah, Sanjuro. I'm wondering how much I'm gonna repeat myself from our previous episode, but I was a big Kurosawa fan in high school. I ended up watching most of his movies. Yojimbo was my first Kurosawa movie, and I just immediately was obsessed. I would say probably even now, Yojimbo's probably in like my top 5 movies ever. So Sanjuro is kind of like a. I feel the same way about it that I feel about, like, I don't know, the Ocean's 11 sequels, where I'm like, I love the original movie so much that it's just kind of nice to have a couple more hours with the characters and this kind of filmmaking. So, like, Sanjuro, I would say that when I rewatched it for the pod, I didn't like it as much as I usually do. Especially, I think, since rewatching Yojimbo so recently, I'm like, damn, this is a real downgrade. But I don't know. I still like to see Toshiro Mifune. There's a lot of little visual gags, especially with like the 10 little samurai running around, that I really enjoy.
Yeah, they kind of like just follow him around like kind of like a bunch of ducklings or something.
There's like because I think the line in the Criterion edition is like, we can't keep running around like this like a caterpillar or something. But I think like the literal translation was like a trail of shit like behind a goldfish or something.
That's funny. But no, I got a similar what's it called? But I was just looking at the midnight movie. I was looking at Spotify. So our Toshiro Mifune versus Tetsuya Nakadai episode was episode 39. It was released. We released that episode July 17th last year.
Holy shit!
Almost a year ago. Almost exactly a year ago.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's Samurai Week.
It's Samurai Summer.
Samurai
Summer.
Hashtag Samurai Summer. Can't wait for that Chet Hanks song.
Excuse me?
Well, he did White Boy Summer.
Oh, okay.
When I think
I was like, I didn't realize he entered this new era, this weeaboo era. Right on.
Yeah, it'll happen. But yeah, no. As far as my history with, the first time I saw Sanjuro was around the same time that I watched Yojimbo about a year ago, and kind of just like wanting to break into all these. So if I remember correctly, I think in the order I was more curious about. I think Yojimbo was the first movie in all of these, in like my string of getting into like the samurai films about a year ago. Like I watched that Seven Samurai, and then it's sometime in there I watched Sanjuro. And then I watched Sword of Doom, and then Sword of Doom was kind of thing where it's like, okay, I love these movies now, as far as like, because I don't know, like of all of them, Sword of Doom is like one of the most interesting to me. But yeah, like I remember when I watched Sanjuro a year ago, I mostly just didn't understand it. I couldn't really grasp the story that much, because I feel like, and it's something I was talking to a coworker about today. I was telling them about us recording tonight. That Yojimbo, I feel like, is a lot more universally understandable. Not just because, like, obviously that movie, like, they pretty much remade it with white people, fistful of dollars. But also I feel like the a lot of the themes and like a lot of the structure of that first movie are like kind of more more cross cultural. Like
the basic premise of like, oh, a stranger comes to town and there's like two warring like clans or whatever. That's like, you could plop that into any culture and would probably make sense.
Yeah, like there are a lot of stories that are basically Yojimbo, just like with different settings. Whereas like I think Sanjuro, the story of Sanjuro, the characters and the relationship between the characters, I feel like are a lot more based in just like very specifically Japanese culture, and in like and specifically in like understandings of like honor and like just the samurai code, and also just like the specific ways in which like corruption is kind of dealt with and like perceived I feel like is a lot more culturally specific in Sanjuro.
Yeah, there's a lot more politics in Sanjuro.
Yeah, it's way more talky. There's like a lot more dialogue in general. But yeah, so because of that, about a year ago, I couldn't really grasp it as much. But then yeah, this time around, I've seen a lot more, not just samurai films, but I've absorbed a lot more Japanese content, which like damn, saying that out loud.
You want to run that back? Give that another take.
But here's the thing though, it's like I haven't gotten into the anime. I've just been watching Japanese movies. I haven't gotten into the animes.
This is a semi-related anecdote, but we went to Anime Boston like last month, and I decided to go to the swap meet with my copy of Yojimbo because I was going to trade it in because the 4K is coming out from Criterion, and for some reason no one seemed to want my Blu-ray of Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo at the anime convention. So crazy how that happened.
Because it's not animated. Because instead of Shiromofune, they want like Spike from Cowboy Bebop or something. Ooh, I had my leg propped up on something and it started cramping. I haven't drank enough water today.
I'm never drinking enough water.
We're talking about like the cultural, like Japanese. Yes, like I've been like watching a lot more Japanese content. I feel like I have a bit of just a better understanding of like culture, like what values are things. So I was able to understand the story a lot better. And I enjoyed this movie a lot more this time around. Just as far as like, I think that Toshiro Mifune's character like gets a lot to do in this movie. Like he kind of is like the most active presence as far as like, you know, he's kind of like trying to get these dumbass like young samurai out of this trouble, you know, and he's using all of his wits. He's tricking the people around him. Like he's being really clever, like more clever in much more of a direct and active way than I think like in Yojimbo necessarily, where like I feel like in Yojimbo he kind of, you know, still like cleverly like lets the gangs kind of take themselves down by doing like little things here and there. But I mean, I think Yojimbo is like a better movie that stands the test of time though. Like I think a part of that being how universal that first film is. Like you can watch that movie on mute and understand most of what's going on.
Yeah, with the themes in Yojimbo, like you're right, they're definitely like, I feel like it is more universally applicable, but it's also like those themes that I think pertain to like, you know, Japanese culture, or even like, you know, taking the piss out of like the samurai genre. Those are like, I think much more like subtly inserted. Like for example, I mean, everything Sanjuro does is just like shitting on the whole concept of like, you know, loyalty to their clan. Mm-hmm. There's that one random samurai that just runs off right before the decisive battle.
Yeah.
And then there's like the whole thing with like Unosuke and his gun and the sort of symbolism of like, you know, encroaching Western values, or
yeah,
that makes me sound like I'm on Ben Shapiro podcast or something. But
no.
But yeah, it's like it's much more like the texture of the film that it's like you sort of like junking all these ideas of like, you know, traditional like hierarchies, whereas like in Sanjuro it's much more literal, like yeah. Oh, my uncle's the Chamberlain and there's a bunch of corrupt Chamberlain, and it's like it's very literal in its messaging and its plotting, as opposed to as opposed to Yojimbo, which I think ends up being a simpler story. Yeah,
Sanjuro pretty much tells you for the most part how you're supposed to feel, like what is right, what is wrong. Like it is very much a kind of, for the most part, a pretty don't show, like it's almost like a play or something. You know, like to the point where I was even surprised by like towards, you know, we're skipping ahead of it, but like towards the end of at the end of the movie when we do see the uncle, and he's kind of giving a speech to his, to his
little ones.
I was about to say they're not his son. But you know, the younger samurai. You know, I'm like, oh, this guy is like an entertaining. Like, why wasn't he a character throughout the movie? Like, I feel like I would have cared a lot more and felt more attached to this character if we'd had like snippets of him like resisting the torture, like whatever they're trying to do to him throughout the movie. You know, it's like.
It's been long enough since I saw this movie that like I didn't remember how much he showed up during the film, but like at the beginning when like Sanjuro meets the other samurai for the first time, and he's like, let me guess, your uncle is pretty ugly looking, and then I spent like the whole movie like waiting to see like, okay, just how ugly looking is this uncle?
Yeah, he was pretty. He doesn't have the prettiest face.
He himself, well, he himself admits to having a horse face, which I can't really deny.
Yeah, period. But no, that ending, that was a yeah. I that was a good joke for his character to do at the end. Like I liked his character, what little screen time he had. I would have wanted to see more of him. But anyway, yeah, let's break into kind of the plot, break down a little bit of this movie. So yeah, this movie opens up with a meeting of 9 young samurai. They're meeting in this little house, and they're talking about that they're the Lord Chamberlain Mastuta is corrupt after he tore up their petition against fraud at the court. And then this is all kind of like we're being explained to this like in a meeting, but like they're basically they one of them goes to the superintendent to and the superintendent agrees to intervene. And they think that they're all good and that like they did the right thing. They went to the appropriate authorities. And then in the background, I do like this little reintroduction to Shiramafune. Like you hear like a dude like waking up like groggy, like in the background, and they open up the doors and like out of the shadows, like drunkenly getting up.
I can like feel like the whole theater like standing up and applauding like 50 years ago. Like, oh my god, it's him!
There he is. He's drunk as fuck. And he basically like tells them like, yeah, you guys are being fucked over. Like the superintendent is you can't trust him. Fucking you guys are gonna get they're gonna send people after you. Ultimately, I how do I put it? I think it's a fun little reintroduction to Shiramafune, but like I feel this opening really leaves me cold, just as far as like I don't know who any of these characters are. We're not in an interesting environment. Like I don't know what's going on. It's like this exact opening is pretty lukewarm to me. Like, how do you feel about it, especially compared to Yojimbo?
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to say it's like a bit of a problem that stretches throughout the film, where like in terms of how like Sanjuro like applies his wits in this movie, I think in Yojimbo you kind of don't know where it's gonna go next with what he's planning, but like this movie it's more like the samurai say to do one thing and Sanjuro's like, nah, that's stupid, do my thing instead. It becomes very like, I want to say back and forth as opposed to like Yojimbo, which kind of plays out on its own.
Yeah, I mean Yojimbo's like an organic thing, whereas like this movie is pretty much like the young samurai want to do like the direct thing or like kind of like the dumb noble thing, and Toshiro Mifune is like, no, that's fucking stupid, let's do it. To the point where like later in the movie I do like we're skipping around to there, but I like later in the movie when like the boys kind of start to turn against each other and they're like, how do we know we can trust him? He's like, he's helped us the whole time, like type deal. I will say there is a pretty cool, so like after this introduction scene, like a bunch of soldiers from the superintendent show up to try to ambush the 9 samurai, and there's a pretty cool like but brief fight scene in here where Toshiro Mifune is like with his sword not even unsheathed, just like beating the shit out of some of these dudes,
just picking them up and like throwing them across the room.
Picking them up, throwing them across. He's going outside. He's like hitting them with his sheath. He's throwing them into each other. It's very Blade 2. It's very that fight scene in Blade 2. I definitely think they looked at this movie for a little inspiration in that. Have you seen Blade 2, Deepti?
I haven't seen Blade 2. I've seen Blade the first.
There's a pretty cool. I think it's the first major fight scene in Blade 2. Most of that fight, Blade doesn't even have his sword unsheathed, and it's kind of like this where he's playing more defense type deal.
It's hard.
I definitely.
If I had the time machine, I'm bringing Kurosawa to see the Blade trilogy.
Kurosawa sees Blade 2. They rip me off. But yeah, no, it's a pretty cool little fight scene. After Sanjuro convinces... Oh, the important thing here is that Tatsuya Nakadai he's like the general, he's like the lead Yakuza guy.
Yeah, what did you think of him in this movie?
How'd I put it? I thought he was scary in a different way than he was in Yojimbo, in the sense that like he was kind of more the kind of his character was less interesting, but I think his performance outweighs what was on the page, because he is kind of just like the generic like tough like samurai gangster leader guy in this movie, but I thought that the scenes between him and Mifune were really good. I also really felt for him by the end of it, as far as like him feeling that he really like lost his honor, and like how Sanjuro humiliated him and stuff, like his performance was good, but like the character didn't really have as much going on, whereas like in the first movie I like him as this like weird little bastard son psycho with a gun.
Yeah, I like, as someone that's like a big Nakadai fan, like, yeah, he doesn't really get much to do in this movie. And I do like his little scene with like Sanjuro, where he's like, I'm a little stinker, and once this plan succeeds, I'm gonna betray my boss. And it's like, it's like a nice little character moment. That might be one of the only character moments we get besides like that and the ending. And besides that, he's just he comes off as kind of a generic heavy. Yeah, no,
his character doesn't have a lot going on, but he, his presence at the very least like rises above it.
It also, I feel like it also probably doesn't help that like in like Yojimbo you have all these like very visually distinct like cartoon character-esque like villains. Like you've got like Tetsuya Nakadai's Inosuke, and you got like the fucking henchman with like the giant cartoon hammer, and like the henchman with the giant cartoon unibrow. And then like a lot of the players in Sanjuro are just like, bald samurai. So it's like
bull angry samurai. Yeah, no, the characters. Yojimbo does have like a lot of memorable little side characters, like all the brothers, like the stupid brother I'll never forget like when you first see him in Yojimbo. This is now just the Yojimbo reprise review. Like when you see just his dumb little face like through the door. Like at the bar and his teeth are out and you just see his little face and he just looks so stupid.
when he's like standing outside the bar and he keeps like gradually standing closer to the bar, and they're like, what does he want? Like, why is he?
Yeah, just like a lot of memorable shit in that one. But as far as like, none of the other, I can't really think of like the only other memorable side characters is one we'll kind of get to in a bit. The what is it, the mother or the grandmother?
Whose distinguishing character feature is woman.
Yeah, these two characters who are just women. All the 9 samurai, they're hiding under the floorboards, and there's some like cute Three Stooges ass fucking music playing. So they roll over to the uncle's house, to Matsuta's house. And they get there, and the Chamberlain has been abducted, and his wife and daughter are held prisoner there. Initially, the samurai want to go in guns blazing, but Sanjuro's like, no, we have to upgrade our stealth skill. We have to play this one ghost, fellas. And they get the guards drunk. Or how exactly? Wait a second. A servant from the house gets the guards. A servant from the house gets the guards drunk along with samurai food. I forget how they convince. How they do something to get the guards drunk.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. I think they just like wait for them to get swapped back in, and they're like, I remember the scene where they're like, "Oh, Nakadai's out here. It's just one guy. Let's get him." And Sanjuro's like, "No, that's Tetsuya Nakadai."
No, he's like, he says like those guards are kittens, but that's a tiger. I think he says something like that, which is pretty cool. But they eventually convince. They eventually they sneak the women out, and like I don't know what they're trying to imply with like the mother here, that she's just kind of like aloof and kind of ditzy, or is it just that like she's so pure of heart, she's kind of weird, she's kind of like a kooky mom, I think is what they're going for.
It's like I like the kooky mom interpretation, honestly. Honestly, I'm like, my biggest problem with Kurosawa in general is that he's really bad at writing women. Yeah. So I'm willing to chalk this up to him being like...
Can't think of a single fucking female character that isn't like, just...
doesn't know how to characterize this woman without her being just like the most, I don't know, feminine, like wilting flower character possible. But like, on the other hand, I do kind of like what they try to do with her arc, and how like Sanjuro kind of has to learn from this like little old lady who, wants to act with Marguerite's.
Yeah. And there is also a part in there where like she kind of sees through his bullshit a little bit. I remember there was like a good scene where she talks about like, oh, you have a good heart, or whatever, like you're a good man, or what is it? you burn too bright, I think was along the
Yeah.
lines. Yeah, no, I remember there being just some like good scenes between him and her, and like how she's just kind of like a kind of like, basically I feel like a lot of what's at the heart of this character is that he's like, he's got a heart of gold. Type
Exactly.
deal. Like he's done a lot of bad things, but he's really like just a good person at his core,
I do love that trope. I eat that shit like dinner. It's so good when it's like a grumpy guy who's secretly nice. But it is like a nice continuation of like, I guess, the character arc from Yojimbo, where it's like, oh, he does a good thing for once, and he's like, what's this strange feeling in my chest?
Yeah.
And then like in this one, he's like, he starts off being like, oh, I want to help these samurai out of the goodness of my heart. And then he learns to, I guess, do it in in a less violent way, relatively less violent way. So it's like, it's nice.
Yeah. These what's it called? I've been making my way through all the Zatoichi films. And I don't know if you know Zatoichi, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Blind Swordsman. I think it's like number 18 or 19 is Zatoichi meets Yojimbo.
I wanted to ask if you'd seen that one, because I still haven't seen that one yet.
I'm on like Zatoichi 8, and that's
Uh.
like Zatoichi 19. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I've heard it's good. The Zatoichi movies are kind of like, how do I put it? Some are definitely better than others, but I feel like it's a thing where it's like it is the same pattern now. Like Zatoichi rolls into a town. He runs into somebody from his past that he like owes. And everyone just underestimates him because it's always the same thing too. Is like, how bad can he be? He's blind, and then he fucking whoops all of them.
He's fast.
He's fast. He's blind. I will say my favorite one so far has been Zatoichi and the Chest of Gold. That one's really cool. How many of those movies have you seen?
I've only seen Zatoichi Goes to the Fire Festival, which like I think might be up in the teens or something. But
Yeah,
like,
it's one of the higher ones. Chest of Gold is like number 4 or 5, and it's pretty cool. Like basically, this town, he rolls up on this town, and this town is celebrating because they made a bunch of money, like selling their crops or whatever, and like they're gonna pay back like their local lord, the town owes the local lord like a fuck ton of money. And they finally raise all the money, so they're celebrating. And all the money is in this like big chest, and the chest goes missing. And the only person who's been in town recently, a new person, is Zatoichi. So immediately the town thinks that Zatoichi stole the money. And it's kind of like a little bit of a noir film in that like the movie is Zatoichi kind of like meeting all the key players in towns and all the politicians, and he's kind of like sleuthing around trying to figure out who took the money type deal.
I actually love that. Like they get that far into the series and they're like, fuck it, put him in an Agatha Christie novel.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Yeah, no. But that one's fantastic. That one also just has like some of the dopest action. Just some of the but like it honestly never gets old when he's like sitting somewhere and things are all calm and you just see his like ear twitch, and then he just like starts fighting before the dudes even reveal it. Like it just doesn't get old. Oh, it also has the best ending because at the end of the movie, I'm just gonna spoil it. Like it's worth watching. Like basically, the movie ends with like the bad guys think they killed Zatoichi, and it's nighttime and they're celebrating in their dojo, and Zatoichi's like stealth killing one by one all the guards there, and it's nighttime and he's taking out all the candles while he's doing it. So like as he's fighting and killing all these dudes, it's just getting like darker and darker and darker. And then when he gets down to the boss of the family, like the big bad guy, the boss is holding a sword in one hand and a candle in the other, and that is the only source of light in this scene. And Zatoichi like stabs his candle and has like the lit candle wax on the edge of his sword, and he's like holds it up to the boss's face, and then he slices him. And the camera goes dark, and that's the end of the fucking movie.
That's hard.
It goes, and then the screen goes dark, and then it goes red, and shows like a red like outline of Zatoichi standing there. It's so good. Like it's just automatically like that's the thing is like all the movies, like definitely a lot of them fall into filler films where it is just like the same thing. But like I don't know, I just don't get tired of the concept. The Blind Swordsman is just cool as fuck. I want to do a Zatoichi episode. I just don't know necessarily how I want to Oh, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be a few select Zatoichi movies, and then we're gonna watch the Blind Samurai episode of the Boondocks. It was no ordinary. This was no ordinary swordsman. This was the blind nigga samurai. But anywho, back to.
All I can say about a Fire Festival is that like I watched it because Tetsuya Nakadai had like a ultimately pretty small role, and then I ended up being like pleasantly surprised how like the homophobic subplot wasn't as homophobic as I expected. Pretty big dub for the 1970s.
Yeah.
Also, there's a naked bathhouse fight that I forgot about until just now when I looked it up.
Oh, okay. Worth checking out for sure. But yeah, so with Sanjuro, what's it called? The group had in the house next door. Oh yeah, I do like that. But so yeah, they get the guards drunk, allowing the samurai to free the women. Then the group hides in the house next door to the superintendent's compound. Yep, Sanjuro gives his fake name. Which is this just like just a language translation thing that's never gonna get like so Sanjuro literally translates to 30 years old. Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I'm not entirely sure how common of like a name like Sanjuro would have been like for the time period, but like yeah, Sanjuro, those characters being 30 years old, and I guess he puts whatever he wants in front of that.
Yeah. I don't know, but still sounds cool in English. But yeah, so Sanjuro decides to get closer to the corrupt official. Yeah, so yeah, he kind of pulls a similar thing that he does in Yojimbo, except it's one gang this time. In that Tetsuya Nakadai offers him a job to work for the corrupt superintendent, and Sanjuro's gonna go Sanjuro's gonna go to pretend to take the job, pretty much. While in doing that, he's gonna like basically like check out the enemy's compound or whatever, like see what's up. And he also finds out that they're literally all of the big bad guys are right next door. You know what I mean? Yeah, and what's it called?
Yeah, because there's the bit where like they're in the I think they decide to live in the house right next door because they'll be right under their noses, and then when they check the river, they see the torrent petition from the uncle, and they realize he's being kept in that house also.
Yeah, so like everything is like right next door. It's super convenient. They don't got to go to a lot of That's another thing too I want to mention just about this movie, and part of why it might be kind of hard to follow. Most of this movie is just people talking in houses in rooms that all look the same.
Yeah.
Like Yojimbo has just so many of these beautiful like sweeping shots of like landscapes, and you get such a good sense of like how this town is structured, and like even Kill, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, like as far as like has like a lot of like really nice use of environments, but like I don't know if they had like specifically a lower budget for this one, but we're just mostly in a bunch of rooms in this one.
Yeah, the closest thing we have to like a strong visual motif is like, well, we have the ending, and then we also have the thing with the camellia bushes and like which is a nice visual.
That was definitely a cool visual.
This might be apocryphal, but I remember reading something years ago about how like, have you seen High and Low, the Kurosawa movie?
Not yet. I bought the Blu-ray the other day. I bought a bunch of Criterions. That was one of them. It's been on my list because I I saw an interview with M. Night Shyamalan where he was talking about his favorite movies, and he listed that as one of his favorites. And I'm like, well, I gotta watch it now. I know the premise though. Rich guy, driver's son ransom. Like I know what it's about.
There's this bit in that movie, banger by the way, let me know what you think of it when you watch it, but there's this bit in that movie where like, I don't want to spoil it too hard, but there's sort of they do this thing where it's like, the whole movie's in black and white, but there's this one scene where they have like one part of the scene in color.
Cool.
And like, I've read like bits and pieces here and there where like, they were thinking of trying that technology out in Sanjuro, and it was either going to be like the red camellias, or was going to be I guess spoilers, the blood splatter at the end of the movie.
I
I
feel
don't
like
know how true this is, but I remember reading it one place or another.
I feel like the blood splatter would have been way harder if it's like this early light filter technology that I'm thinking it would be. I feel like the blood would be more difficult.
Because with the way it's deployed in like in high and low, it's like it seems like a pretty difficult effect to get. So like the blood splatter sounds difficult, but like considering what they do in high and low, I'm like maybe that's something they could have done, but I don't know. I'm glad they didn't go for it.
Yeah, that was on my list of maybe watching tomorrow. Tomorrow I got to I got to clean up a bunch of shit in the house tomorrow, and if I have time, I was gonna like watch a movie or something. So maybe that'll be it if I got time. But yeah, no, that's cool. It would have been cool to see the flowers in color maybe, but it's still like a nice pretty visual here. But basically, yeah. So yeah, Sanjuro goes in, pretends to take the job, and half of the 9 samurai, they're all kind of debating. They think that like, oh, he's going to betray us. Like, why wouldn't he just take the job? Like, he'd be much better off. You know, and I like this little scene where they're getting into this little bit of conflict, and they're showing kind of like how, you know, they're starting to get attached to him, and like, you know, it's I don't know, I like it's kind of the first scene where like I really kind of like see the 9 young samurai as like people more than just like I don't like this kind of like the save the cat type situation that Sanjuro has with them. Like none of them in particular are really memorable except maybe the main one whose uncle is the Chamberlain. But yeah. Anyway,
and there's also like there's also that like running gag with like the guy they take hostage that like stays in the closet.
Yeah, I do like that bit. Yeah, they take one of the guards hostage from saving the women, and like they're the mom just like treats this guy real nice, and also like the also another thing too is like the guy tells him like, yeah, like I've been listening to you guys, and this is not the information that we've been fucking lied to, type deal, you know. Which, I mean, once again, that kind of shows that like, you know, like you could say that like, you know, it's another example of like how, you know, why this corruption is like. How this corruption keeps spreading, you know, misinformation is a key piece of it. Yeah. But yeah, basically half of the samurai tail Sanjuro into the compound, and they get caught. And it kind of throws off Sanjuro's plan. And I really like this kind of like how quickly Mifune is able to kind of think on his feet here, and that like, you know, he sees that they got captured, and I think he comes up with like a lie about like where like the rest of them are, like, oh, the rest of them are like over that way, wherever it makes to see you Nakadai, and like a lot of the guards, the bad guy guards go, and I really like that there's like a quick turnaround where like, oh, they're sending like a small, they send like a small team or whatever to go hunt off the rest of the samurai, and Sanjuro's like, I'm coming with you, and there's like this quick scene where they're walking along, and then Mifune immediately turns around and goes and gets them both. Yeah, then we get what is pretty much like the longest length action scene in the movie. I think there's like nice little, like a lot of really good little moments of action where you just see like Mifune go hard with his his style. A lot of big slashes.
I almost want to say there might be more action in this movie than in Yojimbo, because I think you get like 1 or 2 big moments at the beginning of Yojimbo and the big one at the end, and this one's got like this one sprinkles it throughout, which is nice.
Yeah,
nice to see him swing big sword.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a thing where it's like, I don't know, as far as like I don't really judge these movies necessarily by like how much. I definitely take quality over quantity when it comes to action in all these samurai movies. Like I think about something like Harakiri.
Ooh,
like
yeah.
Harakiri, all of the action in that movie is in the last 20 minutes, but it's just like some of the most badass samurai shit. Like between like one dude versus a bunch of dudes, but also like the best one-on-one samurai duel of all time.
It's so crazy too, because like I fucking love that movie, but I love how it's like we're going to spend 2 hours going through excruciating detail of like how horrible this guy's life was and how he's a victim of the system.
We're gonna make
and then
you
the
care
20 minutes
so much.
And then the last 20 minutes we're gonna go fucking crazy. It's gonna be the hardest shit you've ever seen, dude.
Yeah, I have that shot. I think I want like a T-shirt or something of the shot where like when he slashes the one dude across the forehead, and just like
Oh,
the blood trickles down. And he's like frozen there. Like
gnarly.
I want that on a T-shirt or a poster or something. Just, so good. I want to rewatch that movie. These movies, yeah. I just, as far as like what I've enjoyed, just like sitting on the couch, getting high and watching movies like samurai movie, I'm able to really lock into them really well. There's just something really primal about them. Even I include also. You had mentioned you didn't like Onibaba. I really enjoyed Onibaba.
Wasn't my thing. I'll say it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Like I wouldn't even necessarily call it a. Samurais are a part of it, but it's not in the same realm. Yeah, it's a whole different thing. But anywho, yeah. So we get this fight scene where Sanjuro lets the 4 samurai go, and it's really funny because he goes up to them. He's pretending like he's gonna stab him, kill him, and then he cuts him loose, and the evil guard's like, "What's going on?" And yeah, we get like a pretty cool scene where he just kind of like mows through all these bad guys. And it's it's pretty cool. The choreography's good. There isn't really like blood or nothing, but this ain't it's still this ain't the Sword of Doom era. But yeah, pretty good fight scene. Yeah, and then and then Sanjuro gives them a bunch of shit for kind of like ruining his plan. Pretty much. Although to be fair to them, all he said was like, "I'm gonna go take the job." He doesn't even tell them directly that like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm faking taking the job" type deal. Like,
When they're like arguing over like whether or not we should trust this guy, and he's like, he just said he was gonna take the job, and the other ones are like, yeah, that's just the way he talks though. It's like
he's just an asshole. Yeah,
he should work on his communication skills.
Exactly. But yeah. So after that, it's an important thing there is that so from this point on, they come up with another plan basically to like, okay, how are we gonna save the uncle? And they come up with a plan to tell them. So the main advantage they have, and the thing that's kind of like been their main advantage throughout the movie, is that the bad guys think that there are way more than just 9 of them. Like the bad guys think that they have like an army or like a platoon or whatever of rebels. So Sanjuro, they decide that they're gonna go tell Tetsuya Nakadai, and the bad guys are like, oh, they're over at this temple somewhere. And Sanjuro's gonna be like, yeah, I'll tell them that I fell asleep on the 2nd floor of this temple. And then after Sanjuro goes to tell Tetsuya Nakadai this lie, the 9 samurai realize like, oh shit, wait, that temple doesn't have a 2nd floor. That temple is like a 1-floor temple or whatever. Like the plan's not gonna work. They're gonna see right through it. Immediately, I think this is my favorite part of Nakadai's performance. Like once he starts to like, he doesn't decide right away. For a minute, he's trying to decide if Sanjuro's bullshitting him or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's suspect of him, and this is like some of my favorite as far as like, utilizing his big eyes. As far as like, you can see like a lot of like, you see a lot of like questioning and a lot of investigation. Like those are searching eyes, Yeah, so I believe the bad guys like figure out the ruse. They knock Sanjuro out. They tie him up. Oh, and then I kind of skipped over. Like they have like a signal for them to come in and save the uncle. It's putting the flowers down because like there's this stream at this at their fortress or whatever that goes into the neighbor's yard.
Because like the scene where they decide, I think, is like one of my favorite bits of the movie, where like Sanjiro's like, yeah, the signal will be like, I don't know, start killing a bunch of guys, and you'll see the blood flashing up or whatever. And then the old lady's like, that sounds too violent. I have a nice idea. Let's send a bunch of flowers down the river. And Sanjuro gets so mad. He's like sitting in the corner like,
fine.
Whatever, I guess. Do your lame plan.
What color should I do? Just like, I'm just gonna throw in a bunch of them.
It's so good.
It's pretty funny. He gets frustrated. But yeah, so while he's tied up, Sanjuro convinces some of the I think it's some of the higher up. There are some like older samurai guys who are kind of the idiots of the bad guys, and like I said, I only say this because like, yeah, just the characters in this just aren't as memorable. But he convinces them to throw the flowers down because like, yeah, the flowers mean like surrender or whatever, give up, or or like the flowers mean like don't attack or whatever. So yeah, he tricks them, and then the 9 samurai roll into the unguarded into the unguarded fortress, and they save the uncle. We talked about it earlier, but we get that like scene where the uncle talks to all of them, and he's got the long horse face. Oh, and I do like when Tetsuya Natsuda gets back and like finds that like they took the uncle, like it's over. He just gives up immediately. He's like, well, that's it, and walks away.
But it's not the last we see of him.
It is not the last we see of him. But yeah, then we get kind of this, I almost call it like an epilogue, where like, the uncle gives his speech, and they have robes ready for Sanjuro to join their little clan, which is really cute. But he's nowhere to be found.
I'm a little sad we don't get to see him dripped out at least once.
We don't get to see him dripped out in these fancy new robes. Well, the worn out robes is a signature. The traveler's attire, it's the best skin in Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, every time, that's another thing. Every time I watch one of these movies, I'm like, I gotta get back into Ghost of Tsushima.
It's your Kurosawa mode.
And I can't do the Kurosawa mode. As far as like, it makes the game too hard. I already have a tough time with like, what is it? Now I'm just playing about Ghost of Tsushima. I think there are like, sometimes I have a difficult time with like distinguishing like things off in the distance in that game, but that's something. Anywho, yes, Sanjuro like wandered off without saying goodbye, basically, and the uncle's like, yeah, it makes sense, so he wouldn't want to be here. He belongs like out on the fucking road and shit. And they run into Sanjuro at these crossroads, and it is I like this environment they kind of chose. And I'm gonna. Have they ever said that if this movie is a prequel to Yojimbo at all?
I don't think so. Because rewatching this, I had this buried memory of like going through like random academic papers once, and there was some like essay I read from like someone that was like, you could read Sanjuro as a prequel to Yojimbo because of what the old lady says about him being a sword that shines too brilliantly, whereas in like Yojimbo he's like much more, I guess, restrained in his strategy.
The only reason I think that you could potentially see it as it's literally just the final shot of this movie is him Sanjuro walking up over this hill, and he's like, it's the opening of like the exact opening of Yojimbo. That's you true. See his shoulders, and he's like walking through a field, and this movie ends with like his shoulders rolling and he's walking through a field, and like it looks like identical to the opening shot of Yojimbo.
That's a good point.
And in my head, like, is this like literally just like he walked from this movie into the movie Yojimbo?
Because what I was thinking about with like the visual callback to Yojimbo is like in that the shot before that where it's like all the 10 samurai like bowing like in gratefulness to him, and he's like, man, whatever, just leave me alone. That felt like a callback to the scene like in Yojimbo where he like saves the family, and like the family's like bowing to him, and he's like, shut up, leave me alone, get away from me.
He doesn't he doesn't like praise at all. Like, he doesn't want to be seen as more than just a dude, for sure.
He's not nice.
Yeah.
He doesn't want anyone to think he's nice.
No, he needs to maintain his persona. But yeah, so we see the boys find Sanjuro talking to Tetsuya Nakadai, and he's like, I want to fight. I want to duel to the death. You fucked up my honor, and that's all I want. And I like it. Sanjuro's trying to convince him, like, don't do this. We don't need to do this. Like, this is pointless. Type deal, because, and you see that is like, this is definitely the part of the movie where I appreciate Nakadai's performance as far as like, and his relationship with Toshiro Mifune, and that, like, we see at this point, like, they're one and the same, like, they're just these like traveling swords for hire pretty much, and like this is the life they've chosen. It's pretty cool. But and then we get potentially, I don't know if you could even call it a fight scene, but just like one of the greatest like samurai moments.
It's so dope, dude.
It's so, and something I didn't realize, like, so there's the gush itself, which like basically, so the thing, this is what the movie is like pretty famous for, as far as like, so the end of this movie, they have just like a one strike duel where like they both whip out their swords at the same time, and Tetsuya Nakadai gets cut down, but there's a massive Kill Bill ass explosion of blood that comes out of Tetsuya Nakadai, and it was production wise, it was a mistake. they had the pressure set up too high.
Yeah, it was like, because it's supposed to be like a crazy blood splatter, but like from what I read, it's like it's supposed to be like a crazy blood splatter, but they didn't expect it to be like that intense. And there's like anecdotes from like Tetsuya Nakadai of how he's like, I felt myself like physically getting lifted off the ground. I don't know how I didn't fall over, and they still somehow managed to get it in one take.
Yeah. And it looks really cool, just like a happy accident. But honestly, the thing I love about it is it could be 15 seconds or 15 minutes where they are standing there looking at each other and the camera is still rolling. And I immediately, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking about the Spielberg quote where he's talking about the magic of film and how, like, even if the thing that's great about film is that even if you're like looking at something still, like a bowl of fruit or something on a table, like, it's still moving, it's still alive. And I love just the 9 samurai in the background watching. They're all standing still, and then like the plants, the grass is like flowing in the background, and they're just like standing there like looking at each other. But like it's such a primal, the tension,
like the intensity is so like it's all there.
There's no music, it's just like the Foley sounds, you hear bugs and birds and shit. It's just like a perfect little moment for sure. And yeah, to see Mifune kills him and he's all sad about it, but the 9 samurai are like celebrating, and he's like, you fucking idiots, you don't even realize what this means. And that's the end of this one. And like, yeah, no, it's a thing where it's like, yeah, Yojimbo has the staying power. I definitely think this is a valid entry as far as like, you know, yeah, I understand why it's a good 1-2 punch with Yojimbo as far as like, you know, you get to see more of this character, but it's a different kind of movie, you know.
Yeah, and it's like I'm kind of surprised that like it gets made, because like I meant to look into this before we recorded, but like the fact that it's like a sequel that like kind of gets like it's like supposed to be an adaptation and it gets worked into a sequel because like Yojimbo was so popular, it like reads like something he would be forced to make, you know. But like, I mean, this is Kurosawa, and like, I don't know, he's doing pretty well around this time, so like, I don't know. I wonder how much of him was being put into this, because like there's a couple of visuals here and there that I think are pretty strong, but
but yeah, no, definitely didn't have the sauce of Yojimbo, but
for
yeah,
sure.
still enjoyable. Do you know if that 4K, are they upgrading both of them or just Yojimbo?
Yeah, it's a double pack. I only own Yojimbo because I'm a cheapskate, but I think this time I might have to bring them both home.
Yeah, I got both, not knowing that they literally sold it as like a 2-pack. I mean, I just have them both separately, but yeah, no, definitely classic Criterions look out for. Before we move on to talking a little bit about Kill, which I don't think we really have to break down the plot of Kill 1 because Wikipedia doesn't have the plot broken down.
I don't know if I can break down the plot of Kill.
I think we'll just talk about it more broadly. Before we talk about that, let's talk about with this movie props. What prop from this movie would you want to have on your shelf?
I want to have Toshiro Mifune. What? Who said that?
The whole man, Toshiro Mifune.
Put him right here. I'm saying that, and like as we speak, I've got these two little like I can turn on my camera right now and show you actually. I've got these like two little like figures from like Yojimbo.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can turn on the permissions.
Yeah. The what's it called? What was I gonna say? I want I actually know my prop that I want from Kill before the one that was from Sanjuro from Kill. I want the rice balls they have at the beginning.
Okay, that's actually such a good answer. I was gonna say like the bamboo umbrella because I couldn't think of anything, but I'm gonna change my answer to agree with you. Those are like bigger than his hands. They looked so goddamn good.
Yeah, especially with how hungry they were. Just like it looked so tasty. But yeah, from Sanjuro, yeah, it's the thing is like there's way less.
Yeah, maybe like the camellia bushes looked nice. I'd take those, you know.
Yeah, actually, the kimono that their prisoner was wearing looked pretty comfy, cozy. I'll take that.
They have some good
kimono.
patterns in it here and there, you know. I'd accept that.
Yeah, specifically that kimono.
My camera's not turning on, but I got these two. Like I paid like $20 for these off eBay. But there's these little like 3-inch figures of like Mifune and Nakadai from Yojimbo, and they're very precious to me, even though I've definitely broken them in several places.
Sick. I'll look them up afterwards. See what they look like. 666. So yeah, that was Sanjuro. All these, yeah, this and Kill, they're all on the Criterion channel. So y'all can check them out there. Although Kill, I was trying to figure out like where to watch it initially, not knowing it was on Criterion, because like Google is supposed to tell you, like you look up the name of the movie and it shows you the services. It didn't show me Criterion channel, but it was on there.
I've had to like just go straight to like justwatch.com and like look it up there, and then like that tends to be more reliable with like the more random stuff like fucking Philo or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you know, watch it on Criterion channel. All of them are available on. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Kill, 1968 Japanese comedy samurai film directed by Kiichi Okamoto, who also directed Sword of Doom.
Yeah, this one's like in terms of Okamoto, because you said the only other one you've seen is Sword of Doom, right?
I think so. Let me look at his other filmography.
Because like I've seen a couple of other Okamotos, and like I love Sword of Doom, but it's like such an outlier for like what his kind of style is, and Kill is a lot closer to the kind of thing he does.
Oh well, now I'm excited. Now I'm excited to watch. I might skip ahead because he also directed Zatoichi Meets Yojimbo.
Oh shit!
So there we go. That's a reason to look forward to that one. I've heard of Vengeance for Shale. Sorry, continue, DT.
No, I mean, yeah, this is like more emblematic of like what he goes for. That kind of like playful cartoonish style. Yeah. I was reading, there's this autobiography of like Tetsuya Nakada. You can look up like a translation online if you just like Google, I think like Tetsuya Nakada and the Golden Age of Japanese cinema or whatever. And he's talking about how like Okamoto is a much more like laid back director compared to Kurosawa, so it's just a fun little juxtaposition.
Yeah. This is the most laid back character I've ever fucking seen him play, honestly, in this movie. Like he's kind of just like, he's almost doing a Mifune impression, but he's got like, I feel like he's got some like lighthearted innocence to him almost in this.
Yeah, he's a bit more like boyish than Mifune, which like it adds a different flavor to his performance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely doesn't have like Toshiro Mifune just has fucking pure. That man. That's a man. Pure Rick Grimes ass masculinity. Whereas like Mifune definitely has like a more like effeminate's not the word, but just like a more like in all the
delicate.
characters. Delicate, it could be it, but like more like, you know, a more subtle, less like, you know, less big, less big. I think it could be a word as far as like, you know, it is. His characters always to me feel way more like they have like a lot more of them is like being expressed internally.
Yeah.
Like as far as like Toshiro Mifune's characters, I never am sitting there thinking like, what the hell is this character thinking? Like, it's pretty obvious. Like with Toshiro Mifune's performances, like you can read everything on his face. Where like with Tetsuya Nakadai, it's like I have no idea what's going on behind those eyes with some of his characters. You know.
I like Mifune a lot as an actor, but like knowing that like he wasn't ever really formally trained as an actor, whereas Nakadai was like on the stage for several years before he went into film. Like I feel like you can tell that in the way they approach their performances. Mifune is very big.
Absolutely, yeah. And but yeah, no, I really liked Tetsuya Nakadai in this film. But as far as like so this movie, if you kind of want to just broadly like say like what it's about, like we're not going to go through this one plot beat by plot beat, one because it's not here on Wikipedia, two because it's pretty similar to Sanjuro, three because I'm getting tired.
I mean, I can do my best to give it a quick rundown because it's like, let's see, because we've got this one guy, the one that isn't Tetsuya Nakadai. Do you remember his name?
Tabata, Sanjuro Tabata. I liked him. He's a farmer who wants to become a samurai.
That's right, yeah. It's like him and then Tetsuya Nakadai both wander into this like blown out town, and they happen upon this group of samurai that are trying to they're trying to assassinate this other official that I think betrayed their boss,
Uh-huh.
and then
It turns out that their boss set them up the whole time.
that's right, yeah. And so because their boss set them up, they've had to escape to this little fort in the mountains, and so they've been kind of trapped there. And then meanwhile, the farmer samurai, he ends up joining up with the bad guys
Yeah.
clan. And then there's a leader of he joins up with, I guess, the smaller force that's being led by this other guy who's got this tragic backstory about a lady in a brothel who's his wife.
Yeah.
And Tsuya Nakadai, I forget how he gets involved in all of this.
Well, he just like he's trying to protect he's the similar role that Sanjuro has, in that like he's trying to just protect the seven, and ultimately he says in the movie, like, I'm trying not to kill people, like I'm trying to save people.
That's right, yeah. Oh yeah, and his like backstory is like he ends up fighting on the side of the samurai because he's like, I was in a situation like this once back when I used to be a samurai. Now I'm just a wandering yakuza. But
Yeah.
back when I used to be a samurai, my friend tried to expose the corruption in our clan, and then I ended up having to kill him due to this silly thing we call honor, and it kind of disillusioned him from like the sort of samurai code and that sort of thing, which like thematically I think that ties into the whole like satire angle of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, this movie definitely has like a lighter, goofier tone, but I do think some of the moments that are supposed to be like a bit more dramatic and hard hitting like do work for me. Like I think that Toshiro Mifune's not Mifune. I think that Nakadai's character in this movie has a lot of depth to him. Like I really like the sense of history that he brings to it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you would think he'd have too much of a baby quality, but nah, he works as a leading man.
Yeah.
I like that moment between him and then like the guy that's leading the set of troops from the bad guy, the one that's got his wife in the brothel,
Mhm.
and they're about to face off, and they're like, you know, it's so weird. I don't feel like hitting you, and they're like, just walk away from this, I guess.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of like, yeah, Nakadai is trying to de-escalate the whole time. Like he's really not trying to fight up until then. But yeah, no, I wanted to mention like this is a hard one too, just because like I finished the movie yesterday, but I watched it over 2 days. And there is a lot of solid action in this movie. Like more than like, I think this movie is better shot than Sanjuro is. I think it's got a better use of environment.
It's definitely got more personality, I think.
Yeah, I really like this director's visual style between this and like just between like, you know, what I've seen like this and sort of Doom. Like there's a nice balance. Rarely is there kind of like a more static kind of standard medium shot. Like I feel like it's either like a lot of pretty extreme close-ups or like pretty sweeping shots of the environment. Like you know, like I feel like there's a good level of intimacy in this director's style.
Yeah, he like, having seen his other stuff, like he tends to be, I think at his worst he'll like throw a lot of shit at the wall and see what sticks. Like he'll do some crazy ass transitions or whatever, but like even then I'm like, I'm interested in what you're trying to accomplish here, you know? Like he's never boring in whatever he's trying to do.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I'm trying to think about specific. Are there any specific scenes in this movie that stick out to you as ones that you'd like really like to delve into?
Not, I guess this doesn't have a lot of thematic depth to it, but the scene where like the farmer samurai's in the brothel and they're all trying to like keep him from going up to talk to the other guy's wife.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he like lifts the pillar in the middle of the room and like puts his slipper under it. That's a cool scene. That's a fun scene. I like that scene.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, in terms of like the movie being kind of described as like a satire of like samurai films. I mean, what do you think of, I guess, that take?
Satire. I mean, part of it might. I think I need to watch it again, but like, I don't know. It didn't feel to me like as much of a satire. So I think there are some things that like, I think some of the bad guys, although like they're kind of generic, they do feel like real threats. Like they're not like mustache twirling villains. Like I forget his name, but like the lead bad man samurai guy is pretty fucking scary. Like we see him in this movie like really tear through some dudes. Like I remember, and there are some like the first action scene really in this movie, like when the bad soldiers show up into the town to try to fight the Seven, and the Seven are fighting them off. It felt like straight out of some Ghost of Tsushima shit, and a lot of that might just be the fact that like most of them were wearing straw hats, and I was like, it's the Straw Hat Gang. But yeah, no, as far as like, yeah, there are those little references here and there, like the Seven, and I definitely caught like there was like somebody got their hand cut off, and it was very similar to Yojimbo.
And
But yeah,
then,
over. Sorry, go ahead.
But in terms of like, I just realized like with the Seven Samurai thing, I mean, there's literally like a samurai, a farmer that wants to be a samurai. That's one of the protagonists, which is like pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, as far as like, I definitely just the yeah, that's a archetype at that point that they were able to explore. But yeah, I thought that dude was funny, Sanjuro. Like I like how he just went buck wild with his sword, like 100% all the time. Like he just comes at you running and swinging. Yeah. As far as like, yeah. How do you feel about Nakadai's performance in this movie versus some of your other kind of favorites from him?
Yeah, because I think I like him I like him best when he's playing villainous, you know. So like, you know, something like Yojimbo or Sword of Doom, where he's just kind of like he's got those crazy eyes and stuff. But it's kind of nice to see him just play a straightforward protagonist, because like I also, you know, I think he's a pretty charismatic screen presence. It's nice to see him be a bit pleasant with it, and I think he's like pretty good too at like, I don't know if you heard that motorcycle drive past just now.
I heard it. I didn't know what it was, but
now you know. I think he's pretty good at both like being a likable kind of pleasant character and also being able to communicate the kind of like baggage that character has, and like, you know, he's got a bit of sadness behind the eyes too.
Yeah, for sure. I can't believe that the Harakiri movie came out 6 years before this, and to see Nakadai is playing like an old, he's playing a grandpa in that movie.
It's so, cause like, God, he's like a baby when he does Harakiri, but he's like playing this wizened old man. I think in like Ron 2, he's playing way older than he actually is.
Yes, I need to watch those as well. But yeah, no, he's great. I think there are some fun side characters I like. I think the villains are solid. I think this one is one where I definitely need a rewatch. But yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot.
Would you say, so between this and Sanjuro, which one is superior to you?
Based on a repeat, the thing with Sanjuro is that if you took Toshiro Mifune out of it, it is just like the most boring, bog standard like samurai political movie ever. Like,
yeah,
really, it's like Mifune's presence in there is what makes things interesting. Whereas like in Kill, I will say like I felt more invested in the overall plot than I did in Sanjuro. I also like that. I feel like the Tetsuya Natsurai's character in this movie went through an arc, like went through change. Like his whole thing at the beginning where he's not fighting, he refuses to, like, you know, he's trying not to kill people, and then towards the end of this movie he kind of just turns it, like he turns the samurai mode on, like he's whipping his sword around, he's doing all sorts of, you know, like I feel like this movie has more momentum than Sanjuro does. I just think that like Sanjuro is really held up by like a particularly strong performance from a very charismatic actor.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly inclined to agree there. Like, most of my affection for Sanjuro just comes from being like, man, I love Yojimbo so much. And Kill, like, I will say I didn't like it as much this time around, but it's still like, it ends up being a more exciting story. Like, it feels like a adaptation of a novel, but like, you know, all those plot threads sort of weave around and come together, and you get character arcs and everything. It's, I think, easier to enjoy than Sanjuro is.
Yeah, no, there's definitely more lighthearted things to attach on to in that one for sure. But yeah, I also need to give it a rewatch. But once again, it's on the Criterion Channel, folks, so you can check it out. Yeah, prop from this movie. I'm gonna try to think of something other than rice balls.
I think rice balls is pretty valid. That shit, man.
That shit did look delicious. Either that or I really liked. I could take his bamboo sword. I think it's a cute bamboo sword.
Lady Snowbud type shit.
Exactly.
I like the big golden tokens that they use. They
Yeah.
just seem fun to hold.
Yeah. old timey sinner's gold for sure. Old timey money.
Why don't we carry around bags of doubloons anymore? Let's bring it back.
I don't know, man. Can you doubloon with Apple Pay? your Apple doubloons.
If I pick up a bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos at the corner store and I hand them like a solid gold coin, I feel like they'll take it.
Yeah, they're like, well, we're not gonna argue. Probably grab some more Cheetos. Yeah. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. I'm gonna end the episode here, because we've been going for a while. Plus, I'm honestly really exhausted. Deepti, thank you so much for coming on. This was a great record.
Hey, thank you for having me.
And folks at home, if you're listening, you can go check us out at www.midnightmoviegang.com. By the time you're hearing this, hopefully the online store is fully full. Right now, you can buy the Midnight Movie Gang tapes, but we are gonna have some just some like DIY old school, new school tapes on there. So please check that out. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are using these days, at Midnight Movie Gang or at Midnight Movie Gang Podcast, depending on the platform. Thank you so much again. Have a nice night. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So, here we go.
With childish frustrations and complexes which the police are searching for James Thomas, believed to be the lover of Miss Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. We grant everybody that I'm here to hold on. Oh, please tell me where this going. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How hopeless could I got in here? 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you mean,
Special agent, special agent.